Hey, how's everybody doing this weekend? So, I have a bit of a conundrum that I want to share with you all. Um, I'm trying to figure out how exactly to handle the situation, and it's quite a doozy. um, so, along with what I've shared in this uh, record, public record, if you will, uh, on this YouTube channel, and what I've come to realize is that along with the other implications, along with the other um, crimes that have been committed, I'll put it very bluntly, um, my accusations, I guess, to keep it fair for giving them due process, even though I was denied that. Anyways, um, some time ago, Zanesville police officers, these public servants, um, conspired with the Department of Veterans Affairs and fed VA employees a bunch of misinformation, false information, downright fraudulent information, in a way to manipulate not only records internally there, being that I'm a veteran, but also using that system to allow them to arrest me for further harassment, intimidation, threats on my safety. How do you say that? Uh, Threats of my life, property, all because I called to ask them to do their job, and along with the other incompetent city workers. Um, so I have the documentation for all of this. I have the proof that the claims were fraudulent, and anything subsequent to the initial claims coming out of Zanesville Police Department uh, was completely fraudulent. And so now, the conundrum being that as I'm processing all this paperwork against these public quote unquote officials, I also have the issue or the matter of dealing with the Department of Veterans Affairs. And because of their malfeasance, because of their misconduct in the way that they handled it, um, granted, I get that there's procedure, but this is another example of almost like the blind leading the blind, where it's just like somebody says something and somebody else says, okay, let's go. And then next thing you know, they're in a ditch, but they're dragging me in there too. And I'm saying, hey, wait, guys, I can see uh, you blind dudes are in a ditch, for lack of better analogies. So then, as I try to impart some wisdom on them and help them out of the ditch, they fight to keep me in the ditch with them. I mean, that's essentially the analogy here. But anyways, I don't want to get too far off topic. So now, how exactly would you? I mean, think about it. Put yourself, especially if you're a veteran yourself, put yourself in my shoes as a veteran and in that situation. How do you think you would handle that? Would you just eat it and deal with it? Um, would you fight it? Would you just get the internal records within the VA corrected, or uh, would you look to sever the contract and the relationship with the organization altogether? Because if they're willing to commit fraud and be an accessory to fraud and conspiracy, whether knowingly or not, ignorance is no excuse. Um, yeah, they're not worth my time or my energy. And so now I'm, along with all this other paperwork, if it wasn't bad enough, because these local public servants that are incompetent and derelict and malfeasant in office, yeah, so now I got this bigger issue to deal with. And as I'm getting caught up on this other paperwork, now I'm at the point to where I can start to focus on this and figure out and determine how exactly I want to deal with it. And I have a pretty good idea of how I want to deal with it. Um, Speaking for myself, I've already given verbal notice to the organization, Department of Veterans Affairs, that I am looking to sever the contract and the relationship with the organization altogether. And it really is too bad. And it's not only just because of that one incident or instance. There's been many things over the years. Uh, I'm sure I'm sure you all have heard stories, or at least most of you probably have. And if you're a veteran, if you've had a good experience, hey, man, bless you, man or woman or whatever you identify as, bless you. You know, if you had a good experience with the VA, hey, that's great. That's awesome. I hope other veterans have the same experience that you do if you had a good experience, but I can only speak for myself. And I know I've had reports, although it's hearsay, from other people and their experiences with the VA that weren't very good, and some that were downright horrific. Um, so yeah, at this point, it's not worth uh, the risk of my safety and well being, keeping the relationship with the organization and continuing to do business and expecting them to do what they say that they're going to do, provide health care, provide whatever you want to call it, benefits. Um, it, I don't know. Again, I'm sure a lot of veterans out there, and those of you that are listening to this, if you're veterans, if you've had experiences like I have, you're aware of what I'm talking about. So I don't want to ramble too much about that, but yeah. So at this point, I need to figure out exactly how I want to specifically sever this contract and offer the presentment to the Secretary of the VA, um, and outline the malfeasance, outline the risk to my security and well being because of the employees and agents of the Department of Veterans Affairs and their incompetence. And it just seems to be a all too common theme these days. And maybe I just have too high of a standard. Maybe I'm too picky. That could be. But why should I have to lower my standard because everybody else wants to be idiots? No, I think that's probably why things are the way they are these days. And I don't want to get off on some soapbox or tangent, but I just want to make the point that, um, yeah, it's better for us to be challenged to keep a high standard rather than continuing to drop the standard until there's no standard at all. And then we have continued chaos like we have now, continued violence, continued just psychotic behavior, chaos, and some of it's engineered and planned. I mean, there's a lot to that, and what depending on what you're aware of, what your sphere of influence is, uh, it's going to be relative to what you're aware of. But take it for what it's worth, and don't take my word for it. Just do some homework. uh, yeah, so I'm not quite sure. I'm gonna take some time and think about this. I have for a while now, as I've been doing this other paperwork and getting caught up. But uh, I have some ideas on how I want to sever the contract, or what I'm going to put in the offer, anyways, to sever the contract. And I just need to mull this over a little bit more and determine exactly the outcome that I want in the severance. Uh, so, if you've had experiences like this too, I encourage you to keep your head up, educate yourself, do research, look up the laws, regulations, codes, statutes, whatever applies to your situation uh, that you feel might be necessary. And even if it's not, sometimes the supportive information helps to gain supportive information and knowledge to help understand or comprehend, I guess is a better word, um, the pertinent information that's being researched. That's what I found, anyways. That's for me. So if you're the same way, then it's just a recommendation or a suggestion. But I encourage you all to stay safe out there. Crazy days we live in. Uh, but at any rate, as I've said before, you owe it to yourself to know the truth and let the truth set you free.